Does anybody here know how to train a rock?
No.
No.
I do.
You do? How?
You whack them and then they go flying.
Oh, well that's an interesting approach. Now, how were you going to say? How do you train a rock?
You know what it means to train something.
You know what it means to train something?
Yeah.
That means to teach it a trick. Or yes, you look like you have an answer back there. What's your answer?
Whip it and it will sit.
Whip it? No, I would never treat a rock that way. How about you?
I would just put a string, tie a string on it and just walk with it, just kind of.
Oh, that's a very gentle approach. I like that. I'll read you a little bit from this so you can get a sense of how to train a rock. If that's okay. Yes.
How many pages are there?
How many? Good question. This book has 187 pages, and this one has 345 pages. So this is much bigger. Does anybody see what I have on the cover here?
A blind elephant.
A blind elephant? You're right. That's a blind elephant because he's stumbling around trying to find the true story. And first thing you do with a book, what do you want to do with the first thing a writer wants to do? Does anybody know? What do you think?
Try to get the reader into the book.
Right, try to get the reader into the book. Try to catch his
Nice
or her
job,
interest.
Max.
And this, the blind elephant, is supposed to make you wonder why is there a blind elephant on the cover? This one, if you look close, you can see that's me. And I'm training a rock.
The rock's going
Through yes, the rock was a brave rock. It went through all that fire and smoke. So the first thing I have to do is I have to get your interest. I got to tell you something of the story that's going to make you want to read more after you go past the cover. Yes, sir.
Wait. A rock can always do that. A rock can You mean if you throw it?
No, only if somebody throws it. But if you train a rock to do it by itself, that's pretty good.
Why did you kick it?
Well, let's save our questions for after. Why don't we
Hold on,
hear what
guys,
he's going to
hold on.
say, okay? We're going to...
This is meant to be humorous. It's not meant to be real. You don't really train a rock to go through a burning hoop. At least not ordinarily. You guys knew that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I like to read it.
That's why it's funny, because it's not true. I mean, it makes you wonder, what is he talking about? How do you train a rock? So that's how I get your interest in buying this book and reading the book, is I make you wonder, how could he train a rock? And this one, or so it seems, this is about how things appear. So if I think that somebody is smiling and they're actually angry, I say, or you're smiling, or so it seems, because that person may not be smiling. You know, I may make a mistake in how that person appears to be. So that's what this is about, the appearance of reality. Yes, question.
So it seems the book is over.
Yes, this is my website, and
That's your own website?
it's my own website. It has my name. Yes, this is W.B. Mason bobblehead. You folks know what W.B. Mason is?
Yes. No.
You ever watch the Yankees on TV?
Yes.
Okay, you see.
Never.
Never? Oh, okay. Well, you'll see on their outfield wall, there's a big poster for W.B. Mason. And years ago, I designed and developed, as a writer, the brand, Who but W.B. Mason. I came up with that. So this is about my writing books. It's about my time in advertising. It's about work that I've done to try to make the world a better place. I did some environmental ads. I did some posters that warn about global warming.
Ooh, we like that stuff.
Or so it seems. Well, that's this.
I see it.
You can see it, and you can maybe read a few reviews or order the book online. Yes, sir.
I know how to train a rock.
You know how to train a rock?
Yeah.
How?
You put 2 good lines on it, and then you make a face, and then it becomes human, and then it just washes around.
Well, that's a long-term process. You know what? Excuse me. I think we'll take a moment here, and I'm going to read you a little bit from How to Train a Rock. So, theoretically, it should make you laugh or think it's funny. We'll see. Is this okay, guys?
Or it might not.
Or it might not.
Being good listeners, right?
Okay. So, how to train a rock. The first thing one notices about rocks is they are essentially quiet creatures. Adverse to long discourses or extended bouts of conversation, that means they don't talk very much. They nevertheless are quite engaged in life. That means they like being active and involved in things that are happening. constantly pondering the deepest and densest of life's mysteries. This may be a little hard. Here at the International Rock Training Institute, we have discovered and proven, I believe, that rocks are far more capable than we humans generally believe. In fact, it's the rock's very ability to conceal their considerable capabilities from the general population that underscores the scope of their hidden powers. Do people understand what that meant?
Yes, I know.
What does it mean?
It means like it's alive, but you don't see it.
It's like trying to pretend that it's quiet, it doesn't move, and it's not intelligent.
But
And it fools all of
really,
us.
And then while we're sleeping, it has a party.
Oh, I didn't know that. So what to expect when you bring home one of these seemingly quiet creatures as a pet? Expect love, lots of love. Pound for pound, there isn't a more loving, open-hearted creature than a rock. Though they can be fickle at times. Who knows what fickle means?
No idea.
They can like you one minute and pretend that they don't like you the next. That means you go from like to not being liked. So, I'm sorry, you got a lot of answers. I don't know if we have to let them all out. Okay, so where are we? Oh, they can be fickle at times. Until recently, it was thought rocks heated up in the sun because of the sun's rays. After much research, we now know their rising temperatures are psycho-romantic reactions. That means it comes from the mind and from the heart. Rocks tenderly exhibiting warm feelings for their cousin, the sun, similar to the way their temperatures will flare up once they've achieved affectionate relationships with their masters. That means once the pet starts to love its masters, it will normally just get warm. So I think this is a little bit more difficult than I realized.
Really?
Yeah, I think the words are a little hard for you. And then the last one, I had an article that says, I am a rock. And it's supposed to be a letter written to me from a rock. Dear Paul Steven Stone, I have been reading with great interest your articles on how to train a rock, and especially enjoyed your insights into the complexity of our inner workings. Yes, I am a rock myself. Unfortunately, most of what you say is very silly and far from true. More like supermarket silliness than hard rock reality. Paul Steven Stone, I don't believe you could recognize a real rock if you tripped over one in your kitchen. So,
Wow, that's a mean rock.
I guess so. So, yes, what do you have
How
for
do
me?
you make a rock super?
Super? How do you make a rock
You
super?
put a small rock in a straw, and then you blow it, and it flies.
Oh, so it'd be a very small rock. So, Mrs. Fly said that you guys have some questions.
can we think of some of the questions that we wrote this morning?
Can we get everything?
Okay, so who hasn't spoken yet? You haven't spoken yet.
Me?
Yes.
Let's listen.
How many books have you wrote?
2 so far. I'm writing a new one now, a new novel right now as we speak.
What's it named?
Wait, let's wait our turn. That's why we have our hands up and we're waiting to get called on. Justin,
Did you
Kieran.
want to be an actor when you were a little boy?
That's a great question.
That's a great question, Ella.
I didn't realize that I was going to be a writer until I was probably out of college. I didn't even know that when I was studying advertising, I didn't even realize that I wanted to be a copywriter. I thought I would be just generally in advertising. Yes?
When did you start writing?
Started writing at least when I was 16 years old, if not before that. I remember
Writing books.
Oh, books? Actually, I started writing a novel when I was 16, but I never finished it. Back there, lady?
Do you have any children?
Who asked that?
Sarah.
Oh, okay. I have 3 children. They're grown.
How
Yeah.
old?
Hmm?
How old are they?
Kieran.
33, 31, and 29. So, Benjamin, what's yours?
What's your best-selling book now? Or so it seems, or How to Train a Rock?
Good
Or
question.
So it seems. Thank you. Thank you. And you know,
I
I
thought
want
it would be How to Train a Rock.
you do well.
Sounds pretty fun.
Get enough of your friends to buy it, and then it will be my best-selling. I want you to understand something. One of these books took me 12 years to write, and the other one took me 25 years, essentially, because it's all stories written over 25 years. I used to write for a newspaper, and I wrote all these stories for a newspaper.
So do you mean you don't just write it once and then it's done and your book's
No.
all finished?
No, it's a lot of work and rework. I go back to it all the time. And the novel I'm writing now, which I have a working title, which is Hello, Dear Friend. Very simple title right now. So you haven't heard from you yet.
Why do you write?
Because that's what I'm supposed to do. I think we all have something we're supposed to do.
Good
And our
question.
main mission here, one of our main missions is to find out what that is. Maybe some of us are going to be ball players, maybe some of us will be construction workers, but you got to find it. It's inside. Yes.
Who inspired you?
Oh.
Wow. As a writer, I get very inspired by Mark Twain. That's a great question.
That's a great question, Josh.
Yes. In the back.
How long do you think it takes you to write a book?
Well, the one novel I wrote took me 12 years, as I told you, because I wrote it and rewrote it. And then when I thought I was finished with it after 7 years, and then I sat down to do a little bit of rewriting, and then the whole thing changed. And I ended up writing another 5 years and finally finished it. This new novel I'm working on, I expect to have finished in a year. Yes, sir. You. Yes.
What's your favorite book?
My favorite book. Well, when I was your age, I discovered reading. I came across two books that I absolutely loved. One is called Shane by an author named Jack Schaefer. There's also a movie. And the other one was called The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes.
Oh.
And both those books just opened a whole world of reading for me. If I was in that book fair, I would have gone and looked to see if they had them. Yes.
Do you have any other hobbies?
I like to walk. I like to take my dog Deja out for walks, and we like to go to out in nature.
Go
live on a
hiking.
pond, hiking, kayaking. Anybody here like to kayak?
Oh, I do.
All right. Okay. So Benjamin again.
Over there on your website, why do you have a baseball there? Because you like baseball?
I did all these TV commercials with the Oakland Athletics and with I did a couple with the Boston Red Sox. So, sir, back there.
You have the same middle name as me.
I do. That's your middle name, Stephen? It's a good middle name. It's done me a lot of good. Okay, back there.
When you said commercial, it just means to remember something. Tomorrow, I'm having commercial shooting at my house. My third one.
You're shooting a commercial at your house.
Are you
very
gonna be
nice.
in it? No. They do my room. They did my room too. Which one?
Oh, they like your house for commercials. Oh, yeah.
My room's the biggest.
Okay, sir.
How many pages did you write in all? Like the books?
Well,
Probably
I've written
can't
a lot of
answer
other
that.
things besides books, so I've written hundreds of thousands of pages, I think.
Because a lot of times he even writes pages that then you don't use at all, correct? You take
Right.
stuff out,
Correct.
rewrite things.
I've also written speeches. I've written radio commercials. I've
Sometimes when we think of authors and we hear about people who are writers, we always think about books, right? But he's telling us all these other things that he also has worked on
written-
where he was a writer for.
And then that award at the end with the picture of all those people is for work that I did. I was given an award by a group, so that's just to show the award and to basically brag a little.
You should be bragging.
Yeah. So, what was the book called? What you made? What were you making when you were 16 years old?
Oh, I don't remember what that was called. And one of the things that happens is that as you grow older, you sort of see things from a more balanced perspective. But when you're younger, you're very emotional. And so you write emotional things and it doesn't necessarily get the story across the way you might want. So what I wrote was interesting, and it was probably part of my learning how to write. But it wasn't anything I would want to share with anybody. Sir?
How did you come up with the stories to write, like How to Train a Rock or So It Seems?
I don't know where stories come from. There's no factory inside my head. There's something in me that receives the idea from out there. Anybody could receive those same ideas and probably do their own version of the stories. So